Welcome to the third lesson of Syllabus Design for ELT prepared by the Senior Lecturer, Sami Burbsh. In the previous lessons, we emphasized that a good syllabus is more than just a sheet of paper listing the basic course information, and is therefore the perfect opportunity for you to prepare your students adequately and set the stage for success. We also followed the basic definitions, with a list of primary goals and functions that a syllabus can serve. To clarify more what a syllabus is about, this lesson will offer some suggestions for elements that you might include in the syllabus statement. Certainly, syllabi will vary among disciplines and courses, so you should strive to tailor your syllabus to meet the specific needs of your course, your students, and field of knowledge. Nevertheless, we can divide the elements that most syllabi include into two categories: mandated or compulsory elements and optional elements. Let's start by debriefing the compulsory elements. Firstly, basic course information. This likely comes as no surprise. Typically, the first items on a syllabus will be the course title, number, section, credit hours, meeting times, and location. It is also a good idea to note any prerequisites for the course, so that all students are aware of the required preparation, knowledge, and skills for the course. In addition, most syllabi also include a detailed course description that offers more information than the generic course description provided by the department. Secondly, a syllabus should provide basic instructor information. In addition to providing students with your title and name, office hours and location, and other means of contact, such as phone numbers, email address, website URL, etc. Likewise, it can be beneficial for you, as well as your students, for you to clarify your preferred means of communication outside of class. Thirdly, insert a list of texts, readings, and other materials. You should clearly distinguish between those that are required, and those that are optional, as well as information regarding how students can acquire those texts. For example, do they need to purchase them at the bookstore? Have you assembled a course pack or handouts? Are they available online? You should also make note of any other materials students will need for the course, such as lab equipment, art supplies, calculators, and other devices. Fourthly, a syllabus appends a course schedule or outline. Your syllabus should present your students with some sort of calendar or schedule that outlines what will happen each week or class period of the semester. This will allow your students to plan their time and prepare material accordingly. You should be especially clear regarding when assignments are due or exams will be held. For this end, bold, underlining, or italicized fonts can be particularly useful in this regard. You can decide how much detail you want to provide on your course schedule. For example, do you simply want to note which readings are due for each class period, and the focus of each lesson, or a description of class activities? Remember, you can build flexibility into this schedule. Fifth on the list, expected learning outcomes from the course are an important part of the syllabus. Susky states that expected learning outcome statements refer to specific knowledge, practical skills, areas of professional development, attitudes, higher order thinking skills, etc., that faculty members expect students to develop, learn, or master during a course. Your learning outcomes statements will provide you and your students with an important sense of purpose for the course. Writing effective learning outcome statements might take a little bit of time and forethought, but can go far in forecasting your destination for your students. The sixth element concerns assessment methods. your students will definitely want to know how their work is going to be evaluated in the course. Therefore, your syllabus should in some way mark out the forms of assessment you plan to use, such as exams, formal essays, group projects. Furthermore, those assessment methods should align with the learning outcomes you establish. I mean here, those measurable outcomes should somehow be measured appropriately during the course of the semester. Some teachers even like to show clear connections between their learning outcomes and assessment methods. If you choose to do this as well, this can be done with a chart, list, etc. It can be helpful to provide some description of these assessment methods for your students. However, you need not provide every last detail, because students will probably appreciate those details more readily later as they progress through the course, rather than be overwhelmed by that information in your syllabus. Related to assessment methods are criteria for grade determination. Likewise, your syllabus should make clear how you will determine grades in the course. Provide a transparent breakdown of how different assignments will be weighted and translated into grades. In other words, how much will each assessment be worth in relation to the other assessments, and how will these assignments be combined to determine a student's final grade for the course? It means whether you will use percentages, a point-based system, a weighted system. In this section, you should also include your policy for grade disputes or rewrites. In other words, steps students should take in case of complaints, or mistakes in grading or reporting grades. 7th course, Instructor Policies. It is imperative to include a section in your syllabus that describes your policies on several important elements of any classroom. In general, the more thoughtful and detailed you can be here, the more useful this section will be for you and your students. Further, it can be valuable to explain to students why you maintain a certain policy so that students don't perceive it as being merely arbitrary. Here are a few issues that you should consider addressing. Number 1. Attendance and/or tardiness. Let students know how you approach attendance and lateness in your class. Is presence mandatory? If so, what is the consequence for missing class? Do you distinguish between excused or unexcused absences? Number 2. Missed or late exams or assignments. Will you allow students to make up exams or turn in assignments late? Some instructors refuse late assignments, while others subtract points or offer flexible due dates. Hence, there are many ways you might address the issue of deadlines, and the choice is yours. Just be sure to articulate your policy clearly. Number 3. Academic dishonesty. Most academic institutions provide some definitions and rules of scholastic dishonesty, and they generally insist that the instructor is responsible for initiating action in each case of dishonesty. Generally, an institution's internal policy statement lists the course of action for flagrant or repeated violations. But many instructors determine their own initial policies and statements to include in their syllabi. It is crucial to offer in writing how you will respond to academic dishonesty in your course, so that ambiguity can be avoided. Likewise, it is important to remember that some students, especially young ones, might not have a thorough understanding of complex issues like plagiarism. Some scholars like Siner and Kaplan 2010, Altman and Kashin suggest that teachers might consider providing a definition in your syllabus or even spending time discussing it in class. Number 4. Classroom incivility. It's always a good idea to provide some sort of statement about the kind of behavior you expect in class, what you consider disruptive or inappropriate, and what the consequences will be for disruptive behavior. Because ultimately, it is the instructor's responsibility to maintain a comfortable classroom environment that is conducive to learning. Every instructor and student defines disruptive behavior or incivility differently, so it is important to provide a clear explanation. For instance, will you tolerate texting or cell phones in your classroom? What about eating or drinking in class, sleeping, talking out of turn, etc.? Don't assume that everyone is automatically on the same page. People have different assumptions about what counts as inappropriate behavior. So you might open a discussion with students and other colleagues and add to the definition with what they consider disruptive. Number 5. Class participation. Instructors vary widely in their perspectives on class participation. Some feel that it is impossible to formally evaluate, while others might find grades to be the best way to encourage active participation in the classroom. However, if you choose to count participation, you must be sure to articulate your policy explicitly for your students. Number 6. Disability statement. Regulations generally state that any student who, because of a disability, may require special arrangements in order to meet the course requirements, should contact the instructor as soon as possible to make any necessary arrangements, if they provide appropriate verification. So, these are the 7 most important components to include in a syllabus. As previously noted, a syllabus can do a great deal to prepare the way for student learning inside and outside of the classroom. There are several easy components you can add to create a more learner-centered syllabus, and help your students succeed. First, Parks and Harris advise syllabus designers to insert suggestions about how to plan for the tasks of the course, how much time to spend on assignments outside of class meeting times, or how to do well on certain assignments. B. It is also a good idea to provide general tips regarding time management, study skills, writing, and note-taking. These kinds of tips can be especially helpful for younger students who might still be acclimating to a particular course. See Gruner suggests adding information to help students assess their readiness for the course. Your syllabus can help students be aware of the challenges they might face in the course, as well as what they should already know before taking your course. D. You can append a list of available resources and support services within the class or department, which many students may not be aware of. And statement about religious or national holidays. In summary, bear in mind that your syllabus will be a continuous point of contact between you and your students. So the more thoughtful work you put into it on the front end, the more functional and effective it will be for all involved. A well-constructed syllabus can help your students have a more complete understanding of your course, as well as their roles as students, and your role as their instructor. Now that we have a good idea of what elements a syllabus statement should include, we will enumerate some tips and technique for writing a good syllabus statement.